Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Breaking News with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We're going to be talking about all the info from Switch 2's big launch game and more. It's going to be a good one because we have Lex Luddy on the show. Lexi, how are you doing?
Grubb, I'm alive, which is great. Yeah, that's I'm not doing too bad. I've been super busy. I was traveling last Friday. I was at the Irish Game Awards, and a summit that was on around that.
Let me think. Did Guinness win again?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice. It was the Irish Game Awards is more like local based than something like BAFTA. Like BAFTA does have just one award for best British game, but the Image Awards try to do like all the games that are getting nominated are Irish games or games partly developed in Ireland. But it meant that you had a very funny situation where best narrative went to an indie game made by one guy, and runner up for best narrative went to Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
So but yeah, it was a great show. It was nice hanging out with people and seeing stuff. Talked to Zalavia Nelson. That dude's super smart.
Yeah, always a joy to talk to him, isn't it?
Yeah. Saw Tom Hall chainsaw him with the chainsaw from Doom.
That's fun.
Chainsaw from Doom. So that was weird. And I have a Switch 2 pre-order, which I think makes me gaming royalty. Like, yeah.
All right, I didn't invite you on here to brag. I'm jealous. It does make you better than me, though. That's for sure. Yeah. But that was never a question.
Europe's getting fucked over by America anyway. It's your fault we can't buy PS5 games anymore. We can't buy PS5s at all.
Yep,
this is all your fault.
It's a nasty business we got going on this country of ours. Doesn't feel like it's going to solve itself anytime soon, and no one else seems to know what to do about it. So it's just going to keep getting worse. We had the Mario Kart Direct today. We'll talk about that. A lot of info that we already knew, but I'm it definitely has me still very excited. But no new info about pre-ordering here in the States or in Canada. I think people are expecting at this point for that stuff to kick in next week, maybe. I mean, there's some rumors. Who knows how reliable that info?
They're going to announce it when they shadow drop Oblivion.
There you go. Yes, when Nintendo acquires, but Microsoft and then releases Oblivion. I think people are expecting to kick in next week. Although all that stuff comes from retailers, like the back end, CMSs for retailers or whatever, and that stuff always feels like it could just be placeholder. Like, who's actually in charge of putting that info in there? So we'll see, but we're looking for any scraps of info. Meanwhile, like you had a pretty easy time of pre-ordering, right? It wasn't too painful. It was like you got it right when you tried.
It was first try. I got on there early. I know that they did sell out eventually in Smiths, but then they got a second batch a couple of days later. So like there seems to be switches to go around once the pre-orders go live. It definitely wasn't a bum rush like the PS5 and Xbox were.
Yes. And have you talked to any other friends in your region? Are they having a similar sort of situation?
Lots of the folks in the UK have found it pretty easy. I know it was a bit more difficult. Like, you did have to be keeping an eye out for when stuff went live. Ireland was pretty easy because it was probably a less in tune, like, consumer base.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think people in Britain had it a bit tougher, but even then, still not nearly as bad as like other consoles and stuff.
It's like, I mean, in my head, throughout all of Europe, and I'm American, so Europe is just one big thing. It is like, PlayStation just dominates there, and even Nintendo's a little bit of an afterthought. Is that right still, or was that ever right?
Nintendo is like super big for kids. Like, grandparents will get their kids a game for the Nintendo. Same as America in a lot of ways. Xbox 360 was fucking huge, but PS4 ate its lunch right after that. Like, I know no one that bought an Xbox One in Ireland. And like, I know people that do have Series X, but most of those people are in the industry.
Right.
So like, that seems like a bad sample to take. I don't know very many casual people, friends or anything, that have a Xbox. They mainly have like PS5 is kind of where people think of doing their gaming, or Switch. But Switch is super popular everywhere in Europe.
Right. The thing with that is like, if you're in like Ireland or the UK and you buy an Xbox, you just automatically it comes with an Xbox podcast that you're on. Like that, I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
how it
yeah,
works. So you're
yeah,
in the industry as soon as you buy an Xbox, you just start
yeah.
a podcast. All right. Well, you know what? Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Breaking News or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the show with that Mario Kart World Direct and all the details out of it, including info about Grand Prix races, knockout tours, battle mode, free roam, and more. Kind of collated what I could here. I think I got this from Gamatsu, so shout outs to them. Uh, just drop something on the floor. Mario Kart World introduces an interconnected world with courses linked by roads, enabling exploration and navigation between races. Grand Prix mode features 4 races per cup, with players driving between courses within a cup. Knockout Tour is a new mode with extended rallies and checkpoints, eliminations.
But yeah, I think this game looks super fucking rad. It is funny how little attention they have given the battle modes yet again. Like that segment in the direct is like maybe like 15 seconds out of a 15-minute direct. I watched it back there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, and the battle modes are here too," and they still kind of suck. Anyway, but yeah, it looks fucking awesome. The outfit stuff looks really cool. That Pauline outfit is whoa, 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 respectfully. Whew, whew. But yeah, I think this game looks awesome. Does it look $80, €80, €90, depending on how you buy it? Awesome. I don't know because I think everyone is buying it in the form of
The bundle.
the bundle. So like this game hurts way less when you think of it as $50 or €60. But I don't know, the idea of this being $80 is still like there's a bit of a question mark over that.
Yeah, it's a little stunning, a little shocking. It's I know for a fact that I will get $80 worth of hours played in this game. Like that, I'll play this game a whole bunch. I like Mario Kart a lot, and especially when I start playing with the kids, we're gonna play this a ton. It's gonna be nonstop. And yet, $80 just feels like such a weird hurdle. It's very much a mental block of, yeah, sure, I'm going to play this enough to justify that price, and yet it still doesn't necessarily feel justified. I think that these modes that they laid out of Grand Prix, very familiar, but driving between the courses like during the Grand Prix, I wonder if that gets old. I don't know. I think they maybe they said during the direct that you can just jump to the next race. I think there was some mention of that, so I'm sure they have solutions for any of these before I've played the game anxieties about, oh my God, is this going to be not what I want it to be? Knockout Tour, that's one where it's like, I think that sounds good on paper. I bet it won't be as fun as it sounds. And then, everyone who's played it, and Dan was reiterating this because he has actually tried this, is like, everyone loved it. It was so much fun. I'm like, okay, all right. But then I guess I really
Yeah.
should get my hopes up for that. That sounds good.
I think the one problem with that one, and you will probably run into this, and anyone who has like nieces and nephews or kids will run into this, is kids don't like being knocked out.
They don't
You know?
like getting second place, Lexi. Yes, they don't like
Yeah.
it. They hate losing. They hate it so much.
So I don't think they'll be super excited by the idea of like, hey, dad's still playing and you're not.
Well, they should
'Cause
get good.
you're right. You're right.
Speaking of that, they did have the automatic steering and stuff and the automatic acceleration. They showed that. So good news for people who have kids that use that. So I was happy to see it.
And I mean, like, your kids will have no problem. Bacala, on the other hand,
Dibs, he's helpless. He's just absolutely hopeless as well. Yeah, it's going to be bad.
he's too busy getting good in Rocket League. He hasn't been able to learn how to like race in a real racing game.
Yep, that's right, man. You know what's a good video game? Rocket League.
It is.
All right, and then the free roam. They showed off more of that, but and they kind of, one of the things you mentioned when we were talking about like the gathering up the costumes. There are these meal sacks. It looks like, you go through fast food and sacks of burgers or whatever that are glowing and rainbow color and shiny. And you pick them up. And as you do that, it unlocks a themed costume for the character that you're playing as. And this seems to be one of the incentives to have you go out and explore this open world in the free roam mode. And to me, it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like, obviously, there's other secrets, there are other things to discover in the open world, but having this as an option to like kind of keep like just a little bit of a carrot on a stick, that is enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna want to get a lot of those. And it seems like you could play as different characters to get different costumes. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a ton of content right there on its own. So I don't know. Everything about the free roam mode has really worked for me, and I was really happy to see this as well.
Yeah, I appreciate the idea that Mario is stopping to get garage sushi. That's really good. The idea
Mm.
that he's like risking it. Um, but yeah, the outfits themselves look really fucking cool from what we've seen of some of them. Like some of it is like the Malibu Stacy thing of
Oh
just
yeah.
they have a new hat, but also guys, have you seen Pauline's new hat?
Yes, exactly. It's a latex, and it's very wow. And then the poll will go up, or it's up now, but we'll talk about it later. But there is an image of Wario dressed up as a bee, and that's just really stupid and funny to me, and I like it a lot. I just like looking at this stuff. So, and the aesthetics of Mario Kart have been very good for forever, but really like since like 7 they've really got it right, and then going to HD with Mario Kart 8 finally, it's like, oh, I don't know if Nintendo games ever need to look better than this. And this is very much in line with that. They're actually not trying to look that much better than Mario Kart 8, but they have more physics stuff, more animation kind of popping in that way. And so it's like, well, they just made the art as appealing as possible, and it really does appeal to me. It always has.
I think the
um
thing that
yeah.
I said it in the Giant Bomb chat during the talk over that E did, but like watching this direct, I was like, I could fucking go for a Splatoon 4 right now. Like a
Yeah.
bigger Splatoon 4. Remember when they teased Splatoon 3 and people were like, oh, is it open world? And then it wound
Yeah,
up like,
I felt
but
that. I'm
like,
like, I saw that. I'm like, I hope it
yeah,
is.
yeah, that seems like it could be real this time. Yeah, I'm super. I know I think that like the big feeling for me around the Switch 2 is like most of the games I play and I enjoy playing kind of like PS4 is where things don't need to look better than this.
Yep.
Like I don't see any graphical differences. Someone that goes back and plays a lot of PS3 and PS2 and PS1 games at the moment just for research purposes, like I don't see much difference for PS5 to PS4 stuff. And the idea of this being on par with a PS4 power wise, at least, that's what the Digital Foundry people were saying. Yeah, like I look at these games, I'm like, yeah, things don't really need to look better than this. Like I'm fine with this.
Yeah, and for the Switch 2, it's like it's kind of even a better, like the best case scenario of that, where Digital Foundry saying PS4 games is like what people are going to be targeting, but it has a faster CPU, more memory bandwidth. It's gonna have SSD storage, or
And it's working with newer
something close to
technology.
SSD storage. But yeah.
It's working with, the AI upscaling
Right.
and the frame generation and stuff that wasn't on the
Exactly.
PS4. So
Right. Yes. Then you get all the benefits of NVIDIA software teams like focused on this. Nintendo's their biggest gaming client, and they're going to make sure that tech is really good for this thing. So yeah. So it's a best case scenario, and you're right. As soon as we got the PS4 and Xbox One, even though that hardware was very lackluster, very cheap, it still was enough to meet the plateau. The plateau of games don't need to look better than Doom 2016. They don't need to look much better than Mario Kart 8. They can, but then that's the barrier is no longer the hardware. It is the money. As we saw, Last of Us Part 2 was on a PS4, and it's like, well, if you have that kind of money, look what you can do. It's like, yeah, absolutely. But I'm looking around, and nobody else has that money. There's one other team that has that money. It's Rockstar, and they're doing a whole other thing. So I'm not. This is just not the expectation I have anymore. My expectation is let's make a game like Mario Kart that looks as good as it can. Uh, Other stuff, like they showed more details about some new driving techniques. There's the charge jump. This is for leaping and as well as wall riding. So basically, you kind of like you just prime up a jump by holding the button, and the cart actually like hunches down. It looked really cool. And then when you let go, you pop off with this bigger jump. This enables you to get up on like rails that are a little bit higher to grind on them, or to like thrust yourself into a wall to begin wall riding around a curve. And that looked really awesome. That looks so much fun. It's the kind of thing where it's like, it doesn't sound like a lot, and obviously other kart games have had like the grinding, for example, but giving you just one or two more things to do during a race to keep you engaged is going to go a long way, I think. So every little bit of this I see as well, I'm like, this is really working for me.
It reminds me a lot of Tony Hawk adding the reverse of like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a simple extra mechanic, but the way that it changes that dynamic and it allows you to chain things together sounds really exciting to me. As someone that like, I put 300 hours into Mario Kart 8, like I have played the shit out of that game. The idea of having like a couple of more verbs at my disposal for things to do and experiment with, like that just sounds like it's going to give so much more replayability to each level as I try to like figure out what the best routes are for different races.
Uh, Sean, this Sunday, he's listening. I think he is, or he'll listen later. This Sunday, let's set up a like a final goodbye Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tournament thing, and we'll do that Sunday
And you're
morning.
going to do every single race course. It's such a
We'll
good
do a lot of
idea.
races. We'll make it one of a lot of races. But yeah, Sean likes to set these up, so I know I can just throw that out there, and let's get that going. That would be a lot of fun.
I was saying you should bring back the do a podcast during Mario Kart, except you do it in Mario Kart with the
Yeah.
cameras and the microphone.
Hey, speaking of the cameras, they did show off like something I think is pretty neat. It's who's actually going to end up using this, I don't know, but I mean, I probably will at least once. But it's beyond the cameras, so you could share your faces online with your friends, in other places or in other homes, whatever. There is the ability for the camera to track up to 4 faces in a room. And so if you're playing 4-player split screen, it'll get all 4 players' faces and put it next to the character in the game. So when you do something to them and you hit them with a red shell, you can see the reaction in the game without having to look over at them and break like your line of sight with like what you're actually playing. It is, I mean, it's kind of absurd, but I think I love it. I think that's a really fun idea and a fun use for this. Like, I'm just imagining it in Mario Party and how much fun it's going to be, like, to grab a screenshot of the grimace on someone's face when something terrible happens in that game.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to try to get it to recognize things that aren't faces as faces.
What could you possibly mean? Yeah.
Anything, things,
A,
stuff.
a pile of cocaine, I think, is what we're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah. That's usually how it goes. Let's see, anything else. We talked about the drive-throughs. I did say a meal sack, and Chad has not stopped talking about White Castle since.
Grubb, you said meal sack, and I was like, that's not.
It's a meal in a sack.
That's how. Grubb, have I ever told you about spice bags? A common delicacy in Galway. It's
No,
just
but it sounds like my shit.
Yeah, it's a bag full of fries and a bunch of Chinese spices. And it's basically what all the Chinese restaurants in Ireland started to sell when they realized that Irish people loved potatoes. And they were like, fuck, we need to start selling them spice bags and just put like there's fucking everything in there. There's like chorizo, there's shredded chicken, there's just
This
random
sounds
shit in
so
there.
good. Oh
Yeah,
my god, this sounds good.
You'd love it.
Chorizo?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get myself a spice bag. It's it sounds like is a walking taco. You know what that is?
No.
It's you get a bag of Fritos and you just put a bunch of like meat and cheese in there and maybe some lettuce and you just eat it with a fork. It's hey, it hits. It's good stuff.
Maybe your country deserves what's happening to it.
Oh, I would never argue against that. And the walking tacos, we're guilty. Yeah, I get it. All right. So roadside assistance is like, oh, this is the thing with the smart steering, auto accelerate and tilt controls. But all that stuff's back. Honestly, one of the most accessible games in terms of enabling young players to play. Nintendo's not great with accessibility in a lot of traditional ways for helping a wide variety of people who have a variety of disabilities to play. But this, at the very least, the smart steering does go a long way, I think, and I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that still works with even it being open world, right?
Yeah, they're really good at tricking kids into thinking that they're doing something when they're not.
Oh yes.
The Mario Odyssey one of like, you control the cap.
Yep.
You know, you're part of the team, bud.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead, point at this screen, whatever. The kids do eventually, like Emmy, who's 8 now, has. I'm like, here, go ahead, turn on smart steering. She's like, no, I'm good. So she started steering for herself.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, and she's playing better, so she knows.
She'll be ready to play Marvel Snap while playing Mario Kart any day now.
That's right. I got to get her ready for it. Yeah, 16's going to be here before I know it. All right. Real quick before we move on, when you were describing the spice bags, you said fries. Do you actually call them fries in your country, or
No,
are they
I
called
don't.
chips?
I was being nice to you.
You were
I was,
translating. Okay,
yeah,
I could tell.
yeah.
I wanted to make sure. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's translating for me. All right. Well, let's keep going here.
Rob, I'm bilingual.
You speak dumbass as well. Very
Yeah.
good. Okay, Nintendo Switch 2 VRR mentions disappear from Nintendo's website. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Nintendo has removed several references to VRR support from the official Nintendo Switch 2 website. As part of Nintendo's Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, the firm announced that the new console would support 4K, 120 frames per second, and VRR, variable refresh rate. Now, Nintendo has seemingly removed mentions of VRR from several official websites. As noted by Digital Foundry's Oliver McKenzie, mentions of VRR have been removed from some certain regional Nintendo websites. At the time of the writing, mentions of VRR have been removed from the Canadian, US, and Japanese versions of the site. It's apparently still up on the European site. Maybe it'll still come down. VGC can confirm at the time of writing that the text is still present on the European version of the website, but it is possible that Nintendo is in the process of removing. Okay, well, they're saying what I just said right there. VRR is, a cool thing. It's like, remember G-Sync and FreeSync? It's those are variations on VRR. Basically, what it means is your TV can refresh at a rate different from 60 or 30 frames per second. It can update a frame whenever the video game has a frame ready. So you don't get tearing and there's much less jitter. It just makes like 35 frames per second and then suddenly it's 55 frames per second. Makes that look much better than it normally does, because what really hurts is most people can handle a steady, firm 30 frames per second, but when it's jumping up and down between variable refresh rates, it can look really bad. But with VRR, it can make it look actually like, oh, this sometimes looks better than some other options, or like 55 frames per second solid. It's like, no, this actually looks better than that. Anyway, I am wondering what's happening here, Lexi. My guess is there is probably some problem with the implementation at launch, and it's something they will kind of update and bring back to the system later. There's also the possibility that the dock that they're using maybe is causing some troubles as well. I think PlayStation 4 Pro was supposed to get VRR, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know Sony has had this where they release the system, it's going to get VRR eventually, and that comes much later in an update. I hope it doesn't go that way with the Switch 2. I hope it just kind of happens like a few weeks later. But there's a possibility they'll just bring this much later as well. So I don't know what's happening. Is this kind of a display tech stuff? Does it do anything for you?
Well, it's worth remembering that like Nintendo are the company who launched the Switch 1 and were like, sorry, we can't support Bluetooth headphones. We just don't have the technology. And then 5 years later, we're like, actually, Bluetooth works, and it's been in there the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So like,
This
isn't
weird.
past them. I wouldn't put it past them. It's weird, but this stuff is really nice. As someone that started using their Steam Deck a lot, these kind of techniques really help smooth out those experiences, and those are the kind of experiences that you want to be having on your Switch, like handheld gaming that feels like it's big boy console gaming or PC gaming in a lot of ways. So yeah, like these techniques really help, and I do hope that they work. But like Nintendo are also the company that like have never used anti-aliasing in any of their games ever, just because they seem like morally opposed to it. So I'm kind of surprised it's in there in the first place.
Yep. It's right. That's where I'm at too. It's like, oh man, I think when they mentioned this or we saw it or something at one of the earlier Nintendo Switch 2 talkovers that we did, it's like, oh, VRR, look at that. And it's like that one surprised me. HDR surprised me a little bit as well. I guess that one shouldn't have. But having HDR built into the handheld screen, and then obviously then that means they'll be able to support it on TVs. Fantastic. But VRR felt like a nice bonus. And you're right. It is good. Like having it on the Steam Deck or the various other handheld PCs does make a big difference. Especially, as things are underpowered, this will help a little bit, make that feel a little bit easier to take. So I hope this returns. I'm a big fan of VRR. Yeah, if you have the ability to plug a PC into your TV and it gives you the option to use G-Sync, everybody, you should use G-Sync. All right, Nintendo Switch 2 backward compatibility list has been updated. I guess that's part of the news here, Lexi, is that so Nintendo has a big chart and a bar graph showing hey, we've tested these games and they're confirmed to work without issue on Switch 2 in backward compatibility mode. Then there's a long list of games that are these start and they should be good, but maybe something's in there that doesn't work. We're not sure. We haven't tested ourselves yet. Then there's a very tiny part of the bar, a handful of games, relatively speaking, because there's 500,000 games on the Switch, whatever it is, and a small percentage being probably still more than 100 games that don't start up or have some other very noticeable problem. Couple games on that list included Fitness Boxing, which is a surprisingly mega popular game on the Switch. I think that's one of those ones where Ring Fit Adventure really popped off. And so people are like, well, I'm going to get another exercise game on my Switch. And Fitness Boxing was that. And then Fortnite, which they're I think they did mention that could have some issues, but they weren't sure. Well, it's going to get a native Switch 2 version. So they've updated the list. I think that's another the part of the news here is Nintendo is going to be updating what's going on. That wasn't just a static list that will just stay over on the side. That will have some more information for us as they learn more. Which is something. So Fitness Boxing 2 is going to get its issues looked at and addressed in an update. So overall, the backward compatibility, my expectation, Lexi, is that most things are going to work without many problems. But I won't be surprised if we kind of hear at launch some people discovering hey, this is broken, this shadow later in this boss fight in a game, it's displaying wrong. That's the kind of stuff I'm expecting. How about you?
Yeah, the thing that I'm kind of surprised about is that they didn't have more of this list well researched, considering we know the Switch
I
2
agree.
has been delayed a bunch. I'm surprised that they weren't reaching out to developers and being like, hey, we have this extra time, let's make sure that as many big games that we want to promote on the eShop day one are gonna work. They're gonna want to be selling stuff like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal because those ports will assumably run much better.
It could.
And so they could. And so you'd think that they'd be out there talking to third-party developers, being like, "Hey, does this all fucking boot up?" Way earlier, and that they'd be addressing these problems way earlier. It is reassuring that they're updating the list, updating it with 2 games in
Yeah,
the
right.
2
Pretty
weeks
slow.
since this thing was announced seems pretty slow. But I know lots of developers that still don't have, development kits. So it's these aren't readily available for developers to test in a lot of cases.
Yeah, you're right that it does seem slow. I like Nintendo, the lists when you look at the bar graph, the solid blue. That's these games we've tested and they work and we're sure. I think a lot of those are first party Nintendo games or games that Nintendo has a close relationship with. It feels like they tested those, and then they looked at the list of well, now here are 4,000 other games. And I think someone Nintendo's just well, screw that. We're not doing that. So those studios can worry about that at a certain point. And it's I think I'm with you where it's I get Nintendo can be stingy and can be sort of weird about these kinds of things. But my expectation was they know how important backward compatibility is, and they've seen other companies, Steam or Valve and Microsoft, take this very seriously and establish a dedicated team to go in and research all this stuff. Doesn't seem like that's necessarily what Nintendo has done here. They don't have the check mark system from the Steam Deck, for example. So will they need that? Okay, probably not. And again, I bet most things are just going to work. And I think that's their hope as well. So we'll see. I'm glad it has backward compatibility, but and I'm interested to see exactly how that works when we finally have the Switch 2 in our
I'm
hands.
not sure. Did you put it in here? I saw the headline and I meant to click on it, but I thought I saw that someone was saying like, "Oh, your save data won't transfer to
Yeah,
the two Zelda games," and that seems fucking wild that they are charging.
yeah,
I understand why that they are different versions of the game, but like Sony and Xbox have figured this out. You can transfer your Ghost of Tsushima PS4 save data to your PS5 version. You can do the same with all of their first party games. Like that feels pretty fucking egregious.
yes, it's
In a
weird.
very Nintendo way of like they want to start again. It's so good they'll want to start again.
Yeah, it's because like it doesn't really make sense because this is an option to get like the $10 upgrade, right? Like you can
Yep.
go to the Switch 2 version by paying $10, and what? That just doesn't bring your save over? That's what they're saying. So let's read the Eurogamer story. Switch 2 edition Zelda games won't support cloud saves to back up your data. The Switch 2 editions of both Zelda games won't support cloud saves for data backup, and it's currently unclear why. On the storage pages for both Zelda Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2, a disclaimer reads, "Please note, this software does not support the Nintendo Switch Online paid membership's save data cloud backup feature. The same disclaimer is not present for other Switch 2 edition games, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Metroid Prime 4, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So it's unclear why this is only impacting Zelda games." That's like why it was like weird to me. It's
Yeah.
like, why is this just Zelda? What is happening here?
I'm
So
so
I don't
glad
know.
that my Mario Party Jamboree save data will carry over though. That's a
I
real
mean,
relief.
that's
That's
like really the salve on this wound, right? Like we'll be
yeah.
able to survive 25 because we have our Mario Party Jamboree save data. Yeah,
Plus Jamboree TV.
yeah,
Please
of
give it
course.
a
Yeah,
full
it's
title.
what is it? Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree Live or Jamboree TV Live. Is that what it is?
Jamboree TV, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just keeps going that title. Um, let's see here. Why does this matter? As a user on Reset Era noted, players can import their save file from the original Switch to continue using the Switch 2 edition of the game, but then won't be able to create a new cloud save file as they continue. So can you transfer it from Switch 1? Either way, there's some weirdness here. I don't I wish Nintendo would just had to answer these questions. Like
Yeah,
why Zelda?
that's the thing that I've been, I've talked about with a few people, but like Nintendo have delivered so little information on their own products this go around. It
Yes.
feels like one of like people talk about how when the Xbox One was announced, there was that kind of scuttlebush among all the press who were at that event trying to figure out information because they didn't want to say certain things and different representatives were saying different things. It feels like that, but it's been going on for 2 weeks. Like the amount of conflicting things on different Nintendo websites, the amount of like press having to track down even the price of the console itself, and the press having to be the ones to deliver that news, and Nintendo not wanting to deliver it themselves. It feels fucking weird. It feels like there's parts of this console that they know are backwards already. Like it's a more self-aware Nintendo where they're like, well, people get mad at us when we tell them all the weird dumb shit that we do sometimes. So what if we just let someone else tell them the weird dumb
Yes.
shit that we're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't like it. I mean, I wonder if they think it's working for them because it feels like people are still getting mad at Nintendo and now also annoyed that they aren't being forthright and just kind of coming out with this stuff and just saying it. So
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know.
look at the YouTube chat for that direct that was on today. It was still people angry at Nintendo saying lower the price. Like
Yep.
people are I would die to see like the consumer sentiment report going around Nintendo at the moment of how people actually are saying that they feel about that.
Yeah, I know some people who work that job at Nintendo, and it is, they have to go online and like read Reset Era, and then take like what people are saying, put it in a report, and hand it off to the Doug Bowser's. And I bet that is a fun read right now, and how people are feeling about it. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Our chat is all saying triple the price, so there you go.
Yeah,
Oh, let me. Sean's got something for me. What is it here? All right, taking a look. It's loading. Yeah, okay.
it
Thank you,
is.
Sean. It says right here in the trailer, your save data does transfer. So the save data, your save file from the Switch 1 version of Zelda will go to the Switch 2, And then at that point, there is some weirdness with the cloud saves for some reason, at least according to one disclaimer at this moment, which feels like things could change. I don't know. For some reason, this feels like one of those moments where it's like maybe there's some confusion and Nintendo will clarify and be like, well, we just meant in this one specific case. Or if it is as they're saying, that's weird. We need more info and exactly an explanation of why this is. Okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back, plenty more to talk about, including more price increases right after this. All right, we're back. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Lex Luddy. We're here on GameBreaking News talking about PlayStation Plus prices in Canada are increasing again. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. PlayStation Plus prices in Canada are rising for the second time. Canadian subscribers, including Reset Era user Quialdo, I can't read that because there's a little squiggly mark in my Microsoft Word document that says this is spelled wrong, have been reporting that they've received emails from Sony informing them that 12-month subscriptions for the service would be rising from June 24th. On that date, the price for a 12-month PS Plus Essential subscription will change from $95 to $110, an increase of 15 Canadian dollars. A 12-month PS Plus Extra subscription will increase from $155 to $190, a $35 increase. The PS Plus Premium subscription for 12 months is also going up by $35. That's from $190 to $225. According to Sony's email, the price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high-quality games and benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. This is the second time Canadian players have seen their PlayStation Plus prices rise following a hike in 2023. Before then, Essential cost $70 a year. Extra was priced at $115 a year, and Premium was $140 a year. So that's Premium's gone from 140 Canadian dollars to 225 Canadian dollars. I gotta think that this is likely exchange rate issues. The Canadian dollar's not worth a ton, and Canadians often get raked over the coals with price increases before anyone else. So, yeah, that stinks. People in Canada are already very price sensitive. This cannot help.
Yeah, but Sony got out there and they said we need this money to be able to continue to bring great games to you, like Disney's Up for the PS2. All those great Intelligent Cube 2. The only way you'll be able to play those games is if you give them like $225. That's a shitload of money. That is so much money.
And what you're getting at is the main benefit of PlayStation Plus Premium are those classic games.
Yeah.
So like for the the extra tier, you get a bunch of like the new releases the newer releases that are added to the PlayStation Plus Extra library, and that's pretty robust and probably still worth it even at this price of what is it, $190? Okay, that's pretty expensive. But I guess games are expensive in Canada too, so that probably does add up to about 2.5 games, maybe just 2 games. I don't know the prices there, but I think that sounds about right. And then, but for PlayStation Plus Premium, it's like, man, the classic games, sure, I want to play those things, but that price begins to feel kind of nuts for like, okay, it's just the PS3 games and PS2 games that you're adding to this list. So, yeah, I guess they need the money. What do they need it for?
Yeah, the really weird thing about these prices going up, and you saw it with the Switch as well, is like companies seem to be fucking terrified to talk about it. That PlayStation price increase in Europe and New Zealand was announced at like midnight on a Sunday via a blog post for European audiences, which would have also been like middle of the night, very early morning for New Zealand, Australia, where it was also raised in price. Like, they clearly don't want to deliver this news or be caught delivering this news. They just hope people won't notice. And I think you saw that with the Switch too as well, where like there have been video game consoles that have been too expensive in the past. The PS3 was too expensive. The 3DS was too expensive, but they were too expensive in the sense that they were out of line with expectations of what they should be.
The price
in reality
was off, yeah.
Yeah, people were like, this isn't worth it fundamentally. But like, there's this very different feeling now of people look at the price and they're like, okay, I understand why the price has gone up. I understand the like socio-political and economic reasons why the price has gone up. I'm fucking sick and tired of that. and it's a much more
Yes.
like vitriolic anger that you've seen around this, because it's not like anger at the company for charging more than they should have or getting the price wrong. It's anger at like the system that enables them to do it. And I think that kind of anger hasn't been subsiding.
No.
Which, you know,
Yep.
maybe there are solutions to that. Who
Yep.
knows?
Yep. Someone should do something. Um, yes, it is the kind of thing where there's usually two reasons why something like this happens. The one reason is like, Amazon Prime. Yeah, half of American households have Amazon Prime. Everyone seems pretty reliant on it. They've pushed every other way of buying things out of people's lives, and now people need this service, and so we can jack up the price because people don't want to do it any other way. That would be very disruptive, and they're willing to pay the extra money to keep this service. And then what I think is actually happening with PlayStation Plus is not that. It is both them and Xbox have found the audience that is willing to subscribe to a service like this. For both of them, it's going to be the people who want to play online, and then the people who want to have these other games added to their library. And they've maxed that out. And so the way to get more money from it is to charge those same people more money. And so this is like a little bit more desperate than hey, we have undercut all of our competition, put them out of business, and now you have no other choice, because people do have another choice here. They could still buy video games and hunt for deals. And I think there are a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm never going to be relying on the subscription service if I can avoid it. And so they're like, okay, well then we're going to just charge more to the same people, nickel and dime until people can't take it anymore. And we're going to find what that point is. And so, yeah, I guess once again, not surprised they're raising prices, but boy, it just feels like, how sustainable is this long term? All these things were supposed to be a deal, and they have very quickly turned into feeling like, this is not such a deal. Now, that's going to be different for everybody. I bet you could find a tier on PlayStation Plus that feels better for you and that you're happy with. I bet for most people it's not premium, though. Probably not. All right, so let's keep moving here. Madden movie circling even more big names, including John Mulaney as key EA executive. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Please.
I read down this story when I read who they're eyeing John Mulaney to play. I almost fucking exploded there and then.
Let's go. All right. A movie about the late football legend John Madden, who is also the namesake of EA's popular video game franchise, is now in the works, with Oscar winner Nicolas Cage playing the title role. We heard that before, but I forgot. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I cannot wait to see that. The movie may be adding to its cast with John Mulaney, Catherine Hahn, and Sienna Miller in talks for roles, according to Deadline. According to the report, Mulaney will play EA founder Trip Hawkins. That is like a really fun fit. I was actually just reading a Trip Hawkins interview in the Video Game History Foundation's digital archive. I'm like, I'm just going to start Next Generation magazine from the beginning. And one of their first issue has a really long interview with Trip Hawkins talking about the 3DO. And I'm just like, yeah, this is the stuff. So I want to see that.
A mini series that's John Mulaney setting up 3DO, and like that I would, oh my God, I would watch the shit out. I would make that. Fucking hire me.
Video game executive cinematic universe. Like, that's what we should be getting here. John Mulaney is Trip Hawkins. He will return in the Trip Hawkins movie. Yeah, I want that real bad.
Who would play Jay Allard is the question.
That's right. Moby.
The Rock. The
Rock. Trip Hawkins, who was instrumental in helping launch the now juggernaut Madden series. Han will reportedly portray Madden's wife, Virginia. Miller is tipped for the role of the late Raiders owner Al Davis's wife, Carol. As reported previously, Oscar winner Christian Bale will play Davis. Shit, I forgot about that too. Oh my God, Christian Bale is Al Davis. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That is, as someone who likes sports but just loves like how insane NFL team owners are, Al Davis is the craziest one of them all. This is gonna be just give it to me, feed me more. Christian Bale's gonna look so fucked up in this movie. I'm so excited. Please let this really happen.
Literally, the
Anyway,
only problem about this movie is reading the next line of who's directing it and being like, "Oh, right."
right. That is the sticking point, which is, and it's one of the reasons I think this might not happen. Oscar-nominated director David O. Russell is signed on to direct the movie, which is in the works for Amazon MGM Studio, and will presumably come to Prime Video. David O. Russell is a dirtbag, but also doesn't make good movies. Like, his movies aren't good. I do not like any of them.
And people don't like working with him, you know?
Yeah, he's a dirtbag.
Yeah. I'm not sure this movie does get made. And also, like, I cannot think of anyone who would hate David O. Russell more than John Mulaney since he cleaned up his act.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I hope they could just get a different director in there and solve that problem. Who knows? Get Danny Boyle directed this instead of what did he do? He did
Oh my
Jobs.
God.
That would be
Yeah.
nuts. I would love to see that. All right. Let's keep moving here. Ubisoft is making another. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is why I really want Charlie Brooker to finish working on Black Mirror, because he fucking loves video games. He wrote for video game magazines back in the day, and if anyone was to like scribe some video game industry movies, whether they be fiction or non-fiction, I think he would be fucking great for it. And I would love to see him do some of that stuff.
I think he like a BBC sort of video game industry cinematic universe like actually could happen under him. So that would be awesome to see.
Or the guy who made Blackberry.
Which is the Wii or the Wii Shop Wednesday
Nevada,
guy.
Yeah.
Nirvana, the band, the show. Yeah. Ubisoft is making another Battle Royale, this one inspired by Apex Legends, according to a report. This is from George Yang at GameSpot. How is this possibly true? Ubisoft is reportedly making a new Battle Royale game that's inspired by Apex Legends, so much so that the project once used the game as a thumbnail. According to Insider Gaming, Ubisoft's new Battle Royale is codenamed Scout. Hey, Scout, you hear that? And it has been in development for a few years already. Its characters are said to be similar to Apex Legends' own Pathfinder, Wraith, and Lifeline, as well as others. This is the definition of insanity.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like
What are you talking about?
That game exists. It's getting smaller.
Yeah. People already aren't playing Apex Legends. In Ubisoft, what you got? The Ubisoft juice you're going to bring to this? Are you crazy?
They've already done that. They did the fucking Battle Royale one at the beginning of lockdown that they shut down, that everyone forgot, and was like,
what was it called? I can't even remember what it's called.
Yeah, it was like a fucking Quake shooter as well, because it was really quick. And like 5 people were way into, but no one else remembers. And they did X Defiant, which they shut down. Hyperscape. Yeah,
thank you.
It's our jobs to know what Hyperscape is, and neither of us, for the life of us, would ever remember
the old dome. Yep, it's already gone again. Ubisoft's history of that shooter, but we made it, is terrible. I mean, X Defiant was a pretty decent game, but not decent enough to keep an audience around so that it's still a going concern. It is not. It's not fully closed down yet, I don't think, but they're closing it down.
You can't download it anymore if you don't own it. You can't buy it and download it.
And so X Defiant didn't work. And that's for a genre that actually still is like more accessible even than Battle Royale in terms of like, are people willing to give a new one a try? I just don't, like, we've seen them do this before and fail. Why would this be any different? But I think they can't help themselves.
You think about the times that they have had some success in doing this, it's when they actually do new and inventive things like Rainbow Six Siege. Like that, yes, it uses like Counter-Strike as a basis, but there's so much more going on in that game with its destructible environments and things like that, that like it does feel uniquely different. And if this game doesn't have something that actually makes it stand out, which honestly most of these Ubisoft live service games don't, and that's why they disappear. Like they even did it with one of their own games. They even did it with Skull and Bones, where they were like, what if we make a game that's just Black Flag? And then that got bloated and multiplayer was injected into it and it became a mess. And now how's Skull and Bones doing? Like,
I saw a headline that's like,
what
Skull and Bones is the pirate game we always wanted it to be this week. And I'm like, what? Don't tell me Skull and Bones got good. I kind of want to try it again. It's probably no one's playing it, but I'm interested to see
Lucy
where
played
it's
it
at.
like 3 weeks ago, didn't she?
She was supposed to, but then Ubisoft, surprise, laid a bunch of people off or made some weird decision, and we were like worried about dunking on a game that a lot of people that we know worked on.
Okay.
So.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So we just played Foam Stars instead, which we had no problem making fun of. Ubisoft will host the Division 2 showcase next week. Okay, from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. Ubisoft and Massive recently made the decision to delay the next DLC planned for the Division 2, while soon after also revealing that it will be known as Battle for Brooklyn. Yes, okay. Now, the developer is ready to show off a ton of information about the next chapter of the action game as the Division 2 showcase has been announced. This will be held on April 23rd. I don't. They're still making DLC for this? This is
Remember, they had two other Division games in development that they cancelled.
right. Division
had the
Heartland and I think Division
Mobile.
Hyperscape, I think.
Good one.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and like apparently they're still working on Division 3, but like I guess this is great news for Matt Rory. I know he loved Division 2. But yeah, I don't know how this game is still going.
Yeah, people, yeah, you're right. People do like the Division 2. But it's like, I know Massive Entertainment has been busy. They made 2 huge games since Division 2 came out in Avatar. And they made the Avatar game, right? And I know they made Star Wars Outlaws. So yeah, they've been busy. It's like, okay, so I would have thought like the Division 3 would be spinning up, and that's not the sense I get from this, but who knows? We should keep going here because we're running out of time. Marathon PC closed alpha has ridiculously low minimum specs required. Let's see here. It's like you'll need an Intel Core i5 8600, a Ryzen 5 2600 processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, a GTX 1050 Ti. This is like really low spec. To me, that just says where we're at. If you have an online multiplayer game on PC, it's basically got to be like the same specs as friggin' Roblox at a certain point. You got to run on potatoes because you just got to make sure that everyone can get into this thing. That's a key part of this, which is a big shift for this industry, but it's one that's been there for online multiplayer games for a long time now. And it's not surprising to see.
What a funny part of keeping the like heritage of the game alive when it comes to like, yeah, no, it's still gonna look like a game that ran on Macs in the 80s if you wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's I think the artwork for that game looks so good. It's like I bet this is gonna look real good even on low spec systems, just because it's gonna be bright and vivid and it's gonna pop, and the designs of the characters are so appealing. So yeah, interested to see. Okay, I think that does it for the headlines. We have a poll question to get into and a new poll question for you all. Let's get to that one from yesterday. Do you have a Switch 2 pre-ordered? There's 3 options here. I can't pre-order in my country yet. Yes and no. 11% of respondents have pre-ordered a Switch 2. 41% have not. And 48% said they can't pre-order in their country yet. So I think that shows kind of how many people are in the United States and Canada listening to the show. But so, I mean, 1 in 5 of people who can pre-order have. That's not too bad. And I think that's a sign of like, oh man, there must be quite a few in the supply chain already. So I think that speaks to what you said earlier, where people aren't having the biggest pain in the world trying to get a pre-order as it happens. It's if they go up and you try to get one, seems like you have a decent shot at getting one. I hope that's the case for us, although I'm not expecting it, Lexi. I think it's going to be a bloodbath here.
Yeah. By the way, Nikki had a poll earlier in the show that is Europe different? It was just a good poll.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just a really
28 said yes, 4 said no. The 4 know what they're talking about. Let's see. And then although they also asked, have you ever referred to takeout bag as a sack? Let me see here. 8 said yes, 26 said no. What? Like, come on, White Castle. You got to get the burger sack. All right.
Yeah, finally, White Castle sounds more appealing and delicious when you call it a sack.
I love White Castle. I just looked it up. There's none in Cleveland. The nearest one to me is in Detroit. I have to go to a different city. They're based in Columbus. That's Ohio, but Ohio's very weird. All right. New poll question. We'll get to that here in a second. Before we do that, Lex Luddy, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, like I said, I was at the Fish Game Summit, so I'm going to have some coverage of that going up on Shack News over the next few days, an interview with Sylvia Nelson, and 1 or 2 previews. The website that I run, Start Menu, which is for people trying to break into the video games media business, which made a lot more sense 6 years ago, just turned 6 years old. Yeah, we celebrated with some really cool artwork from friend of Giant Bomb, Jerem, who did some killer artwork for us, and we
fantastic.
have put it up on a merch store. We're selling mugs and t-shirts and stuff. So go check that out. It looks great. And yeah, go support Start Menu on Patreon, because it allows me to keep on doing what I'm doing.
All right, new poll question. Who has more aura? Aura. Let's see, there we go. I think I got it that time. Your options are, it's an image poll, and one is Waluigi dressed as a mariachi band member. Option 2 is Wario dressed as a bumblebee. And number 3 is Mario in a kimono, I guess is that a traditional Japanese garb is what we'll call it. I'm sure it's more specific than just kimono.
Noticeable absence in this list, which I don't think I need to say which one it is, but
Yep,
just
clearly.
saying.
The dolphin riding a dolphin. We all know what you're talking
Lack
about.
of women being represented on Giant Bomb at show again.
Yep. Well, listen, those are the rules. I can't change them. All right, that poll. We'll get the results. Talk about it on the show tomorrow. Here, that's game breaking news. Speaking of game breaking news and the power block, we'll be back tomorrow with a new episode. And then today, I think we're going into the GameSpot show. What else is happening? Let me take a look here. GameSpot show, voicemail dump truck. There's a Galaxies Showcase talkover or something, or maybe a post show. I don't know. They're figuring it out.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Galaxies thing. Yes. I thought you were talking about Star Wars convention or whatever that Lucy's at.
Oh, yeah, Lucy's at that thing. She's doing a panel or something like that. It's pretty cool. Happy for her. So yes, Galaxy Showcase with GameSpot post shows what it says here on my calendar. So they'll have something to say about that Galaxy Showcase, which apparently is gonna, some people put together a show of like new games and from indie developers and all that stuff. I always think those are pretty neat. All right, and then tomorrow, UPF will be happening. We're gonna play rematch for UPF tomorrow. So that's that Rocket League with people. It is a nuts idea, but we're going to play it on this website, and we'll have some criticisms, I think, of why this would be a thing that just couldn't work in real life. All right, Lex Luddy, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you all for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.